Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Oh wow! Hey, there it is. We're here.
We can talk.
We're just there. You know,
It's the World Wide
we're
Web.
back.
Hello.
We're trying to figure out how we did this thing.
How we
Hey,
went.
for whatever reason, Hitch, it doesn't have our intro and outro videos on there anymore. What the heck happened?
So I tried. I mean, I could. If you want to talk inside the podcast, how I messed this up. So first of all, I tried to throw it on there, and
Okay.
it wasn't loading like that, like the video low enough on the menu. So I had to try to do it manually. And then for some
It's
reason,
not your fault. It's Stringer. See, now we lost. see. Time. It's like getting in that game flow. Sometimes things happen. Things just getting back into that game flow.
False start.
False start. Throw the yellow flag.
Yeah.
I think I lost some. I lost
First and 20 now.
Yeah. We're kind of back there. Well, bring us forward there, quarterback T. Mitch.
No, man. So, welcome back, everyone, to Calvin I Bound BS. As you know, another week. This will be our pre-Thanksgiving special for you guys. We're previewing, obviously, the Skeleton Crew, and really diving in and talk all things Star Wars. It's been a while since we actually had a legit BS episode. We kind of go in, kind of talk about. There's a lot of stuff going on, obviously, right now with rumored projects going on, kind of our preview of the Skeleton Crew, and we can even do kind of a dive into, because this is really a general podcast of all things Star Wars. If you guys have been tuning in lately, Ken's been giving us his rated R reaction to a lot of projects of the past. So love to hopefully we'll get that Ken today as far as his thoughts on
Rated R reaction.
He skipped it the last episode. Let's let our guy deep. You guys know where to find this.
Yeah, we did. In case you forgot it from the previous episode, 2 episodes ago, we're at nerdcyclopedia.com, people. Your favorite website where you get all your favorite social media ads and Star Wars fanfic that we're doing with ChatGPT. It's a beautiful thing. We're creating Star Wars content for the masses, just for you. We're at Twitter, X, at Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. That's at Nerdcyclopedia. Make sure that you visit us all on all our social media platforms and follow us there. If you're listening to us on podcasts, we're on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast. Guess what? We are there. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. Also, hit that notification button. So anytime that we're on, you know where we're on. If you're watching on Facebook, on our page or Nerdcyclopedia page, thank you as well. I'll make sure that you, share and, make sure that, you tell all your friends to follow us. Leave us some feedback too. We're at nerdcyclopediafeedback@gmail.com. It costs you nothing for you to write us.
It's completely free. We arrange that with all the platforms. It's free. Absolutely free.
Just for you.
Price is going in now. You want to get in now.
You want to get right now.
Because they might charge you tomorrow.
You never know. Still do it today. They might charge you tomorrow.
This is our Black Friday promo.
Black Friday promo. Yep, exactly.
Free.
Get it while it's free now, because it might be free again on Friday.
Bean counters over at Encyclopedia Studios hate when we give that away. So
we used to give away ice, or did we?
Yeah, bags of ice. If you wanted a bag of ice, it cost you 50 cents for an email. Then you got a
blocks of it too.
It was a fun time. So Skeleton Crew, eh?
Yeah, Skeleton Crew, guys.
What does it mean? What does it mean?
Yeah, what does it mean? Yeah.
Hey, isn't there a trailer we can watch?
There may be.
Guys, I sure hope so.
Roll the tape and let's see what it is.
Yeah.
Oh.
What are you in for? What are you in for? I found something buried in the woods. Dad.
This is unacceptable. Do you understand?
What do you think it is? Don't touch anything. What did you do? We're lost. Really lost. Stay together. We just need some directions home.
Come on, kid. Pay up. Whoa.
Where'd you two find an old Republic credit?
Over here, quick. I'll get you home. We'll make a partnership. But we have to move fast. I need you to take the controls.
Okay. Neil? Neil?
A crew of murderous pirates is coming.
Something's wrong.
They're not going to just turn up. We need to find them.
We're not alone down here.
Be warned of booby traps. Pirates and mountains where none dare to go.
If you hear this, don't give up. No matter what.
So couple things that I've watched the trailer a couple times, and what I enjoy is they're pulling in things from the past, references. I mean, what do we got here? Max Rebo's kid. I mean, come on. Plus, the band is playing the music in the soundtrack for the trailer. I mean, from Return of the Jedi. So what they're pulling those last remnants of like what Star Wars was to an old fart like me, and they're putting into a fresh campaign. Let's think of it as a D&D episode where you've got an adventure that needs to be played out. And yes, it stinks of the Goonies, but that was a Lucas property to begin with. So there's, I think I have high hopes for this.
That's a kiss of death.
You teammate, that last scene in the burial temple. I mean, there's going to be stuff in there. There's going to be lore. There's going to be masks and helmets and references and medallions and all kind of things stuck all over the place that you can sink your teeth into. So
if there's no, don't do that. If there's a holocron or like Darth Revan's helmet, I swear on live TV, I'll break my TV. If there's like some crazy artifact they find,
you have a protection, so you really can't. You can throw whatever you want at the wall, right? It's gonna be fine.
I can't do that.
But, we're gonna have TV and bubble wrap or something. Like, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Do you have about 5 or 6 of these? Like, I mean, I just want to make sure we're not hurt.
I'm optimistic. I'm optimistic. It's it's kids, it's it looks fun for kids, I'm optimistic. I like some of the darker elements, with the parents trying to find their kids and stuff, if this creeps up like how Agatha all along was deemed as like, okay, what is Marvel doing? Why are they doing this show? Who are they doing this for? And ends up turning around to be one of their better Marvel shows, then I'm optimistic that Disney may be on a better track than what they track worker than what they were doing before. So like I said, I'm optimistic. I'm not going into with like heavy expectations. is more Star Wars content, which is always a good thing. It should tide us over into Andor.
You just reviewed it like the critics reviewed Star Wars in 1977. You know that,
really,
word for word. You just reviewed it
is that how they looked at it? Okay,
100%. They said, "Oh, it's a nice for kids. It's very nice, and children will enjoy it."
Well, really? here's the thing. We're of the older, generations and stuff.
Experience.
I guess we're experienced. We got to realize that these properties, these intellectual properties, I hate using that term, but I just did, because everything's an intellectual property. They're being recycled, and they make it for kids that's growing up, because they're the ones that's going to be spending more of the money. We're the older ones. We're not spending as much, except for Ken and T-Mitch. We're not spending as much on paraphernalia and content like the younger ones.
DP, bro, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's false. Though those claims are false.
I don't know.
Listen, the box office says so, and it's tied into when you talk about even these women-centric stories, bro. These women-centric stories, and we talked about this before. These were meant to draw in a different audience. However, these women and these children who we want to attend the theaters, the kids, they don't have the attention span to go to theaters. Still us going, right? Literally a younger audience. So you're right. We're at a weird spot with media right now, because these Disney Plus shows and these series, they want the younger generation wants the 20, 25-minute episodes. We want the 40 to 60-minute episodes. They don't have the time for it. And it shows in the data. Literally, we are still the consumer. Look at the movies. Even Avengers and stuff. Bro, those weren't younger people. That was all us there. So we can talk about their making stories.
All the late 30, 40-year-olds of the Generation X.
So we can talk about
generation.
Whatever, yeah.
You're sincere, the way you judge media, is basically, is it geared specifically to you or not? And if it's not, right? Is that kind of why aren't
not necessarily? But I'm just saying, as far as when we're looking at the content they're creating, I get it, right? That we need to come up with something for the newer generation. But I just feel with us who still consume it and still pay for it, we can never be gradual, right? It can never be in the middle. It's either really exaggerated the other way, or it's one way or the other. It's too much towards us. It's never there's never a balance. I feel like.
You know what I mean? I don't see this as that sort of issue, and I'll say it like this, because in Star Wars, there's nothing Luke does that Leia couldn't do. I mean, the big thing.
Oh no, I'm talking about as far as not a guy and girl thing. I'm talking about as far as an audience thing.
So the protagonist. The protagonist of the last couple of things that have come out, right? Obi-Wan had young Leia in it. We have Ahsoka just came out with a show. We have we have
Acolyte, yeah.
The thing that was wrong with Acolyte wasn't the fact that it was focused on these women. That wasn't the problem.
Oh no, I'm not saying the women characters are the problem. I'm saying the audience we're trying to attract is the issue, right?
Goonied out. This is the Goonies. Okay.
So we'll watch it, but right? That's what I'm saying. So we'll watch it, but do you think children will watch it?
Yes, it's on Disney, and it's a Disney-related property. So why wouldn't they? Now were they watching in droves? I don't think younger ones are as in tune.
That's my point.
Our generation.
That's
but you still have to cultivate them. You still have to put stuff out there in front of their face to see see what works, to see what grabs them and stuff, or else you're just spinning your wheels. I mean, basically George was ahead of this thing. You don't have that head anymore. So everyone is still trying to figure this thing out. To me,
I don't. I mean, I get it, right? But I just think
maybe I'm a demographic. It was a weird audience. Star Wars.
It is. You know, and it's supposed to be a family story, but like I felt like the episodes were, and a lot of the stuff was. And lately, and this isn't I don't think this is a Lucas issue. I think it's a Disney issue. I just think that like it's all over the place. It's either too young, it's too old. We saw the same thing with like some of these Disney Plus stories, like with the Marvels and stuff. Like I just think that they're throwing too much shit against the wall and seeing what sticks, right? And by now, I think that there should be more projects that stick.
Well, here's the thing, T Mitch. If you want the stuff to look like you want it to look, right? We want it to look really good. The budget's got to be big, which means the tent's got to be big. Right. And I think what's naturally happening with media, and I think we're seeing it all over the place, even on cable television, which just had Comcast spin off its cable TV entities to go off to pasture somewhere since cable.
Right.
But we have this fracturing of the audience. And when the audience fractures, that means a market fractures. So it's a lot harder to build a coalition of watchers if you try to go broad. But to do something that's worth doing, to do something like a Dune Legacy or these shows, and or what costs a filthy amount of money.
Sure.
And
Insane,
and they let them just do it. So we're all excited about season 2, obviously, but I think you're going to see less and less and less of this humongous budget situation. And we've seen it before media where the studio system cycled down, and we saw more independent films, and we saw lower budget films, and the birth of the mid-budget action movie, and then the Western period. Like so, you know, what Hollywood produces in general, what media produces in general, kind of goes with the flow as what the audience is. And I think that we're just seeing, you know, a weird like the audience has in fact fractured, but the companies are still producing big tent stuff that isn't able to appeal, that doesn't broad enough in its appeal or specific enough in its appeal. It's like trying to shoot for the middle, and it's not hitting anything because it's
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, that's more of an.
It's like you're trying to please everyone but pleasing no one.
Like if you want to make a lesbian witch Star Wars story, make that. Don't water it down and make it like don't make it so it's maybe they weren't evil. Just make them evil. Just tell me that.
Yeah,
make it awesome.
But you see what you're saying? That's what I'm talking about. Like they're trying to cater too much. And like DP, right? You're a storyteller, right? Like just tell the fucking story. Stop trying to like check boxes, right? Stop trying to cater to people.
Well, Disney at the end of the day is still a corporation. They still bought this $1 billion, property and everything. To them is intellectual property. I'll keep saying the word I hate. It is what it is. It's product that they want to sell at their parks. They got to continue to create, this content and stuff to put out for their platforms and stuff. It's still a money generator at the end of the day, regardless of whether they're shooting for the middle. It's still product that maybe we don't always like, put up there, as in the higher upper echelons of stuff from what we remembered it was. But still, it's still a revenue generator for the company, which is really
we lost him.
He muted himself. He clicked it. I've seen it.
He
might have clicked it, yeah. But no.
He hit the space bar and he was on a roll too.
Wait a minute. He was being positive for a minute about Star Wars.
He was. Let him go. Yeah, let him land. We'll let you land.
Yeah. So it's a hard road to toe when you have to sort of like accept what it is. Star Wars is owned by a corporation. It wasn't owned by a corporation before Lucas sold it. So you have all these different interests now that was not the same as it was beforehand. We didn't even have Star Wars television shows before Disney. Disney got hold of the property, say, how can we make more money off this? Disney, Lucas had a hold of the property. He was like, how can we make more better Star Wars stuff? Maybe, but he was focused.
Star Wars
he was focused. I'm pretty sure he wanted to make TV shows and all that stuff.
You've got a good point, because there was only one captain. The captain was in charge of the boat, and he steered it where he wanted it to go. There were it's interesting. I watched Phantom Menace on VHS the other night, and there's an interesting intro. You remember on tapes they used to put everything at the beginning because they wanted to make sure you watched it. So all the special features and the trailers and everything were at the front of the tape. Now, anyway, so there was this piece about when George brought Phantom Menace to the studios and the amount of shots that he wanted. Just real quick, the average motion picture at the time had 400 or 450 shots, special effects shots. A really big film like Titanic had 1,050 shots. George was looking at 1,700 to 2,200 special effects shots that he wanted added. He wanted to do. That was and it was going to happen or it wasn't going to happen. He was in charge. Now you have a board of directors that are basically making these decisions, and it's all political, and it's all who has what interests they want to have.
T-Mitch, how can you not though? I mean,
but I try to tell you guys this before about like people I've heard in the industry say like that there are agendas in these shows, and there are certain agendas that they want to. However,
the agenda's not.
Yeah, it's not,
the agenda is definitely not the problem.
It's not the problem, but however, we keep talking about it. Yeah, they're right. There's one head of the snake, and however, this person, this said lady, loves to put her face in front of everything until shit goes wrong, and then it's about, oh, we're bashing a story because we don't like black actresses, or like it's funny every time this shit goes south how Kathleen Kennedy disappears, right? Think about all these shows that bomb. She talks all this shit, right? And Ken, you've backed her to the heels come off. She's George's number 2. So if anybody should know how this shit should work, she's worked with George, she's worked with Spielberg, it should be her. And the fact that every time something goes wrong, she's not in. I mean, think about it, bro. It's this fucking Entertainment Tonight articles, all this stuff. Daisy Ridley's crying about equality and not getting jobs. John Boyega, she shuts the hell up anytime shit hits the fan, but she loves to then come out and be like, oh yeah, like I understand George's work. You don't, bro. Because who's signing off on this at the end of the day?
Teammates, you're caught up in the algorithm, man. You're being fed. You're caught up in the algorithm, man.
We're starting to now blame Filoni for this shit, are we not?
I read a lot of content, and I'm trying to cut back on trying to be so colored by rumors, industry insiders and stuff, trying to be not so in tune to stuff before the actual content comes out, because I think in our collective fan minds is that we get so consumed on the adventures of making a product. When the product actually comes out, we're sort of like, we got all this headcanon stuff. We got all this stuff built up in our brain. And then we hype all that energy, whether it's positive or negative, towards a project. When all the stuff that we hear beforehand, like on websites and people's opinions and stuff, the stuff hasn't even come out yet. Stuff hasn't been cashed yet. We getting all this insider stuff, and we don't even know how things are actually going to really come out until it actually comes out. So we need to, in my eyes, we have to start judging products more by how they actually come out versus what our unconscious bias opinions or whatever beforehand. I mean, that's not really fair to like the artists that actually sit up there and actually do the work. You talk about Kathleen Kennedy a lot, and I don't know about you guys. Ken and Scott. I don't hear a lot of Kathleen Kennedy. Apparently, this guy does a whole lot more.
All the stuff I'm talking about are legit articles on Entertainment Tonight.
I'm not saying if they're legit or not legit.
No, these are her speaking interviews. What I'm mentioning. I'm not like talking about like insiders. These are legit articles written by her on YouTube. I'll bring them up. These are things she said. These are things Daisy Ridley said. We saw the backlash about the stuff, the girl who played Reva. They said, John Boyega said. So this isn't like insider stuff. This is stuff that's coming out that like the backlash of the Ahsoka stuff, right? The went public.
let's
Where
let's
it's like,
let
you know what I mean?
let's talk about let's talk about one thing about you, T Mitch. You love reading the script. You have to have the script in your hands before you see the movie. You have to
Oh,
know
I
exactly what
have to
happens.
know. I
You
do.
have to know. So you're sort of like a type. You have a type. You're a type. So you have to know all this stuff before the actual stuff comes out. So if you ignore any of that, like the Kathleen Kennedy, the entertainment stuff, Tonight articles and all that stuff. If you know all of that stuff, would you think it would influence your opinion, of the final product, or would it color something different for you, as far as that?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It might color differently. And when I talk about like the whole Kathleen Kennedy bashing, it's like this, right? Like I get that everybody can tell their own story, but at the end of the day, like if you're the president of the company, right, and something falls repeatedly, it goes on you. Like because if we're saying that this was okay, but we thought it was good, and we thought that Boba Fett the ball dropped, like the ball's dropping too many times. Like I don't want to see anybody lose their job ever in life, whether it be male or female, right? But like at the end of the day, bro, if the shit don't work, like it's not working. I mean, I'm a big Marvel fan, and the fact that they had to bring back the brothers who did Endgame to save his franchise, those are kind of decisions I would expect to be made by Star Wars, right? I just want the best people to do it. I mean, we talk about these projects and like, yeah, well, that was
The
okay.
best is subjective, man. It's
You
subjective.
think?
I
Because
mean, yeah,
Ken's opinion has changed very recently about projects that he was very high on. So that's why I'm like, I can see it after you become subjective, after you see it a couple times. Like, I don't know. I can be subjective, yeah, but to see Ken change his opinion, that lets me know that like I'm a little more justified in what I thought, because I would never think Ken thinks this way I would think over some of these projects. But like I said, I know everybody has their own opinion.
I just don't see these as
I have to see it before I'm going to make a solid opinion.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't see this as some sort of chain of unmitigated failure or anything like that. I think the animated stuff has been good to great generally. So
Right.
that's all right. I think the
Right.
TV shows have they been hit or miss? Yeah. Have the misses been weird? Like the misses have been in weird ways. Like making Boba Fett a sheriff, like that doesn't make why? That's a weird thing to do. That's a weird choice to make. Having the Power Rangers help him. Weird. It's a weird choice to make.
Yeah.
The reason
Yeah.
we talked about the Acolyte and how the reason it didn't feel right is because we didn't understand why May hated them so much, and it wasn't weird enough. I mean, it should have been a little more weird. It should have been more off the rails. I know they did some stuff off the rails, but it's
Right.
like the method of how it was made, the directing of it, crafting of it is where it went false. So it's not in some sort of overarching planning. Like that's not where the problem is. The problem is where the rubber hits the road, and that honestly the scripts just haven't been that great. And maybe the reason we're seeing the problems across all sorts of media is that they had that writer's strike and they tried to plow through it. They really shouldn't have done that. And by that I mean, Hollywood, like any
correct.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that's a very good point, because I think you're right. Everything has been shit. The fact that what was that Tom Cruise's like number one with Mission Impossible was shit, and I've never seen a bad Mission Impossible.
So, it's plus we're getting older. Like this stuff's not geared to us. Like to your point, I mean, we should be geared to us, but I don't think
we're getting more critical on things, and if it doesn't quite go our way, and it's not exactly what we wanted to see on the screen, then it's trash.
It's not just that though. You know what I mean? I think, and you guys are right. I think maybe because I and I'll be honest, and DP, you're probably right. I think you hit the nail on the head. I've gotten so spoiled with a run, right? Because I'll be honest, we've been on a run for 18 years. Granted, Marvel didn't start out the hottest, right? But even Marvel, Star Wars, we've been on a run for 18 years. And I don't think, I won't say I don't think, I know this will never happen again. So I just think that our expectation, maybe my personal expectation, got so high because of the level of production and the level of quality, maybe a movie that we're out, that, you know what I mean? I see some of this stuff now, and maybe It's just not going to be that again.
I tell you one thing, T. Mitch. I don't want to go back to before 2000. I don't.
Right.
You know,
we don't want to do the Edward Norton Hulks and all that.
No.
What's going to happen is the budget. I really feel like the budget of these things is going to decrease. They're going to try to automate. It's going to get weird, and I hope they let it get weird.
Well, think about it though.
It's on the rails now. It needs to. Dennis on the move, whatever. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's one of those ones I've only ever seen in print. But he was saying the reason he doesn't want to do a Star Wars is it's too calcified. And I think that there is a little bit of, hey, jerk, you're making a Star Wars movie. It's got to have this crap in it, and it better not have anything weird in it. It better be Star Wars. And I think they're being a little bit too dogmatic. And part of that is the control they want to have. And I think that it suffocates the life out of some of these things. Like there should be, I don't know, there should be a little bit more variety, especially when you're going far afield in locale and cast and in time zone. Like it should feel like if you dropped, society has changed a lot in 150 years, right? 150 years ago was like, 1875. Drop any one of us back then, and we probably would be shocked at how different certain things are. I imagine, right? We certainly would be. So it felt like there was a lot of continuity between the Galactic Republic of 100 years ago and the Galactic Republic of now. They're all dressed the same. Maybe it was billed to us as something that was different, and their signals to us were that there was something different. But in reality, the story was less interesting than it appeared just because you didn't show it. You showed it to me weird, and then you kind of ate up all the plot in a flashback that should have been part of the main big hunk of the main story with a flash forward, right? So, but that's not Kathleen Kennedy's fault that that's not right. And there were reshoots on it to try to knit it back together. But I don't know. I agree with you that the last couple things have underwhelmed me. They have underwhelmed me. But to the idea that there's nothing in the pipeline that I think is going to be good is actually wrong, because I think if
we know Andor's going to be good, we know that the finality of Andor's going to be great.
Flavor. The next thing is, and this is the thing I've said on this podcast since the very beginning. What I want is variety. I want there to be more Star Wars, and that means, look, is there going to be like a Star Wars episode that's going to feel like it's part of that main line and it's got all those features and the big stars and the Jedi and everything? Yes, but should there be maybe like Skeleton Crew, a tinier series that's more just about smuggling and running into crazy monstrous villains and stuff, where there's less Force stuff? Yeah, there should be that flavor too. I think they need to be confident, and they need to just be telling good stories. And if it's got to be weird, man, look, the galaxy's got to be a big place. There's 100 billion stars in the Milky Way, 100 billion with a B. That's enormous. So you just say, look, it's like that's what it's like over there in that planet, and we'll just go to a different planet. Star Trek used to do that all the time, where they go to a planet where 1 week women were in charge and all the men were sex objects, and the next week it would be two races fighting, and they just have different eyebrows or some crap. They can do the variety on this because they have all the resources on Earth. I just think that when they fail, it's because they're not showing us anything new. They're not showing us anything that changes our expectations.
Well, you're right.
So what are we saying about this Skeleton Crew? I mean, it kind of fits what you just said, Steel City. It's new.
It's different. It's different.
It does go back into the archives, and it pulls a mold from something that had been used already, but it's injecting it into our universe. It's putting it into our story, and I'm actually curious. What do these kids find? Where do they go? These pirates. I mean, who's the Skeleton Crew? Is it the kids, or is it the murderous ghost pirates that are after them?
Right.
I mean, the kids don't seem like they're Skeletor in any way. They seem kind of, they're kids, and they're kind of naive and trying to come into their own. And these grotesque, monstrous ghost droids that are chasing them seem like skeletons to me, because one of them has his eye comes out, and there's like tissue matter behind there, so it's like got a Grievous vibe to it. I mean, there's I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna have my kids watch it too, and when we review these first 2 episodes, I'm gonna give you a wide view. Like, okay, so if Disney's doing this now for kids, did it work? Kids sit and watch this, and do they want to see what happens in episode 3, or are they gone? Is it trash? They're out of the room in 10 minutes. If so, then okay, Disney may have just punted the ball.
Crap the bag with that. I mean, and that's the way that people receive content. So Ken's looking at it a certain way. I'm looking at it. I'm not going to have my kids sit down and watch this because I'm just going to be watching it myself. They're not even into Star Wars like that. So I'm the one that's into it. I'm the only one in the family that's into it. Anyway, so I'm receiving the content from a storyteller's perspective. Are these characters going to draw me in? Is there any redeeming qualities that will make me continue to watch these characters?
Care?
Will a character, will I care? That's really the biggest thing. Will I care? Will I be entertained? By their antics and stuff. Will they not annoy me or whatever? Be them being kids or whatever. But the main thing is like, will I care enough about the characters? Will there be enough character development that I can see a through line? Will there be teasers that we like to talk about? Smoking guns. Will there be certain things that they plant stuff in the beginning that sort of bring back and tie back? Signs of good storytelling. I'm looking at it from all those aspects. I try not to have all those extra stuff outside where, if I'm looking for like certain agendas or whatever. I don't care about messages or agendas. If they're putting a message or agenda, tell me a good story. Make sure the story is told right if you're putting that agenda or story, element in there and everything. Make me care is my whole bottom line. And when we talk about like best, when we talk about like, trying to put the best stuff on the screen or best stuff, best person to do like, the project and everything, I think we need to be careful about best because it is subjective, but we also need to be talking about if it fits, because seeing a certain thing fit in a thing, you may not have like the best, I guess I could relate it to basketball. You may not have like, Jordan or whatever on the court, Scottie Pippen, and everything, to relate to the Chicago Bulls and stuff. But you definitely going to have that Kerr, Steve Kerr that makes those threes, that makes those key shots that fit. He wasn't the best player, but he fit into like the Bulls that helped them win a championship and everything. So we need to look at certain things that make the whole thing fit as a whole versus trying to say, okay, this is the best thing. Let's keep putting the best thing out there.
Who would be Steve Kerr? Who would be Steve Kerr in your eyes?
I mean, you got to have a good coach that knows exactly how to work his players. Right. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think Kathleen Kennedy is like the greatest coach of this whole project. I'm gonna just be honest about that because everything that's been out, you would think that she learned a lot under George Lucas on how to navigate this thing, and I guess to a certain degree she does to a money making perspective and everything. But from a storytelling perspective, I don't know if she is as adept as he was because he was a storyteller. At the end of the day, but that's just my criticism on that. If it was Dave Filoni running this thing like through and through, then okay, you can say okay, I can sit back, relax. At least I know I got a credible storyteller working on all the Star Wars projects. And not having like their hands in just this and not in that and everything. That doesn't make any sense to me, especially when you talk about things that happen in a singular universe, my opinion.
But you just made my whole point I made about this whole Kathleen Kennedy debacle. It's not that she's a bad person, but to me, in what you said, she makes money. She generates money for shareholders. Her idea, I understand it, right? Because it's a business. I don't think her eyes are on the story necessarily. Like I said, if you work with George all the time, I would imagine she picked up a little bit, right? Like when Hitch I love when Hitch talks about history because the more he talks about it, the more I go and research. And I want to learn more about it. So to say that this lady is stood next to this guy for 30 plus years, she's worked with Spielberg 30 plus years, I would just hope that she picked up a little bit. But to me, it seems like you're right. She's generating money for Disney, and that's not a problem. But to me, like I said, with the way this IP is ran, I would just expect things to be a little cleaner. That's all.
But to me, if this show succeeds where Acolyte failed, it's going to be because
I think it will.
It's going to be because Jude Law carries it, and it's going to be because they give him a character that's good, that has conflict, that is interesting. It's because he brings a lot of charisma to that character, and we know he can do science fiction because he's done, Captain Marvel, he's done science fiction,
He's done a lot of stuff. Yeah,
he'll be good. So he's a known commodity, and we think if he's going to hit it, and if he hits it, it'll work because we'll connect with that character.
Yeah, and he's an obsessed fan. He's been a fan of Star Wars his entire career, and he's like one of these guys. It's like, please, like Sam Jackson, please give me a spot. I don't care what I do. Give me a role in this, George, please. And it was I think it was kind of the same thing with Jude Law. And yeah, and you're right, STLC. I mean, he's done a lot of science fiction. He's done a lot of like action roles. So this kind of vibes with him. And I like it.
He fits.
He's a known quality too. I mean, this is like going out and trading for a known hitter that's going to come in and sit on your 4 spot in your lineup, hit 35 taters, bat about 280. You know what he is? Is he going to steal a bunch of bases? Not anymore. Not anymore. But he can carry this show. And yeah, he is a high-end guy. I think he's the guy that Sean Penn called one of our finest actors when Chris Rock was like, he's in everything, right? So he's been around a long time. He'll be good. And that performance is going to carry this. And I think that's, like, to me, we talked about this ad nauseum. Acolyte fails because the performance of the main character isn't compelling. And I think it's not just May and whatever her name is. I don't even care anymore.
Name I don't even know. May and OSHA.
It's not just
OSHA ended up being the actual Acolyte, and she was the one that was like in the shadow the whole time.
We've talked ad nauseum about that show and what doesn't work about it. But what didn't work about it was that portrayal. And the dude that played Soul doesn't even speak English. Like, it's not his primary language. So that's why the cadences sound a little weird.
What was weird, though? I felt like it deserved the season 2, Hitch, and you're right. Like, as bad as it was, right? And we bashed it, right? But it's one of those things. That's why I get mad about it. It deserves a second season. Like, all the stuff you talk about, right? You're right. But that lets you know that Disney knows something's wrong. Like, why would you pull the plug on it? Because she started something.
We necessarily deserve a second season. We were like, wait a minute, this didn't even like complete anything.
Where they cast that different in a word, like where they actually go out and get the right A-list talent. And I know that it's not like they're bad. I feel like you have to respect the performers there, but get the correct A-list talent that makes those roles
that fit.
The ones
that fit.
How do you have a strong character like Trinity, who's a great action artist, and you kill her and give her a Force Ghost like off the bat?
We've talked about that too. If that happens in episode 4 instead of the beginning of the story, and you understand the stakes and you understand what happened, even if you don't understand it in specificity yet, that makes that a much more interesting scene. Watching that through a second time on the streaming service, you understand that and get it, and it makes more sense. So again, the problem is we didn't build the right product. And look, if you want to tell me a story that has a point, like Robin Hood, for instance, or I mean, just to pick another example, every single teaching of Jesus Christ is a parable, which is a story that tries to teach you a lesson, right? I mean, the issue is if the story is good, you get the lesson, right?
You get the lesson, you get the so-called agenda and everything. That's why I think like the whole agenda argument is so disingenuous, because why give us a lead in Acolyte was, to me, just so terrible. She was not really compelling whatsoever as a character, to make me actually care. So to say, okay, to start complaining about agendas and stuff, complain more about that character, that lead that they fed us, that they pretty much force fed us, and say, okay, this is who we're going to follow, and you're going to have to, force us to like this character when she wasn't even really compelling from the beginning and everything. Right. It doesn't matter what skin color, and she was a woman or whatever. She, as an actress, she was just not a good fit for that particular thing that they were trying to do.
They
You
should
know
have
what happens?
two people. They should have cast
Yeah,
sisters,
two different people. Yeah,
sisters or whatever. I got that. It would have been better. I
there's
really
so many. Yeah, you're right. There's some sisters and people that can do that because yeah, it's tough to play two different people. There's a handful of actors who can do a synonymous role being yourself. I mean, look at Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool, right? He can play multiple personalities, things like that. Like you have to be a seasoned actress to be able to do that. And I mean, there are people out there. I said this, like, why didn't she be Soul? Why didn't Trinity be Soul? That will be something that I think I would buy into. I mean, you see her in the like, if she was Master Soul, and then we don't, and like you're right, the agenda stuff. You know what I think the agenda stuff has started, and it's not necessarily me going down rabbit holes. And I'll tell you what happened post COVID, right? For some reason, like every actor and actresses, and it's all of us, I guess, in life, some extent. Bro, everybody has one of these now, right? And everybody has a fucking podcast, and everybody loves to talk shit, right? So, like John Boyega,
everybody has a platform.
Everybody has a platform. So when I go down my rabbit holes, it's not necessarily me reading insider information, but it's like these actors and actresses go online, they go on podcasts, and they just start talking. Back in the day, you used to sign an NDA, and it was like, bro, you don't talk about the movie, you don't talk post-movie, you write the movie, and that's it.
Oh, you
and
didn't even have podcast stuff back then. For you to express yourself. Everybody has a platform. It's not even so much actors too. You have people that just talk, period. Social media is giving every single being on this earth a platform, for them to express themselves. So everybody feel like now they have an autonomy to say something, and they feel sort of empowered. Okay, well, I can express my opinion, in a vacuum, and we'll see what comes back.
And you're right. And Hitch, with us being me, you, and Ken being kind of longer Star Wars fans than Sam, and really almost legacy fans, like I 100% think that's what split the fan base, is just too many people talking.
And it's easy to get that information out there. It's easy for people to just post or talk, and
these people aren't just talking to like they're not on our podcast, or like these guys are talking to like goddamn Entertainment Tonight, like, you know what I mean? It's like, why? And then you cry about not getting a job, like the dude who played Cyborg in DC, the Batman or whatever, the Justice League. You did all that, bro. You haven't had a job. Like, why? Just shut the hell up.
Because they can. But because they can. It's the society and that we live in right now, the days and times and stuff. We're living in a time where we see we're living in real time of cultural change. This is amazing time right now, because we don't know where anything's going to be headed, because it's really no precedent for it.
Is the word to use.
Say what?
I'm sure is the word to use.
We're going on an adventure just like the Skeleton Crew.
It's basically, this is a real life Star Wars story, man. This is a real life Skeleton Crew right here.
My criteria for this is Jude Law be interesting. These kids don't be annoying, because that's a big problem in some certain. Even in animation, I think we all had a problem with that one season of Bad Batch. So don't make the kids annoying. Make them interesting or not stupid. Don't make them Mary Sue. So I don't want some kid that's like the smartest kid in the entire galaxy. These guys are just regular kids. This guy. I want the heist that I'm sure they're doing to be interesting, and I want the stakes I want the stakes to feel real. And then if you're gonna teach me, if you want this show to have a message, have a message. If it's the real lesson is the friends we made along the way. If it's differences aside and work together. I want teamwork is it, cooperation. Hey, focus on the things that make you similar instead of different. I want the story.
I have a powerful message. You're right.
I want the story to be good, so I'll get the message. And that's the thing. You have
just make us care. Make us care.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I got on this.
Well, we'll know.
We'll know in a few days, guys. A few days.
Yeah.
We'll know, man.
And damn the media and the platforms, and everyone just keep your opinions to yourself. Everyone.
Well, they're not going to do that, Ken.
No,
You
No,
can type,
no,
you can comment, you can do whatever you want, but just realize other people can do the same thing you can do.
right.
Right, yes,
so-
yeah. And you're not the only person that's doing it, and everyone else.
Exactly. Right.
Right. No, man. It's like I said. Maybe I'm on one because I'm starved of good media, and maybe I'm lashing out at Star Wars. So maybe that's my frustration. I'm taking everything out since the Batman. There's not been much. So maybe I'm lashing a little bit out. But,
Yeah.
no.
2025 will tell the tale on how this
It
is
will
going
be.
to go. There's
It
no
will be.
strikes. There's no
There's no- yeah,
excuses now.
correct. There's no excuses.
Everything's going to be out there.
There's no. You're right. There's no excuses. So everybody has a clean slate, and we'll be back here next week to kind of start breaking down this new exciting show. This will be the last Star Wars show of 2024, right? So this is our last. It's crazy we're saying that. This is our last show, really, that we'll be reviewing of the year.
And it should
leading into
take us to
2025.
the end of the year.
It will, yes. So, that'll lead us into 2025, which, we keep saying this every year we do this, but leading us into a step up, another year of more great content. So I'm excited to break this down with you guys and see how this all shakes out. But until next week, guys, this is the way.
This
This
is
is
the
the
way.
way.
I'm not putting a bump on this, but see y'all later.
All right. Peace out.
Yeah.
Bye, Internet.